would just like to start by extending a very warm welcome and thank you to everybody who has taken the time out of your busy schedules to join us today in support of our Gender Desk initiative. So by way of introduction, my name is Balisa Sekese and I am the Deputy Chairperson of the BMF Sandton YP, as well as having oversight over the membership numbers. Now, with that being said, it actually wouldn't be right for me to mention membership without asking that if you are new, if you have been a regular attender but not yet a member, and you are looking for a sign to register, this is it. So the value and the benefit that you get from joining BMF, it's tremendous, and it actually helps in driving that transformational change in your life, especially when you're trying to make big career and personal life moves. So at the end, there'll be an address box where you can see where the website is in order for you to register and become a member. Now, as BMF Sandton YP, we have definitely come a long way from initially having a committee only run by 3 individuals to now being a full-fledged committee with each portfolio head that has been filled and run with enthusiastic individuals who are ready to wave that BMF flag high and make our mark in terms of the impact on the lives that we touch through our initiatives and projects. Now, this is to be achieved through creating networking opportunities, individual empowerment, brand association, advocacy of transformational issues, as well as through development, skills development, amongst other factors. Now, since the beginning of 2021, we have definitely hit the ground running. We have already had our Ratanang Community Development Initiative and the Getting to Know the BMF YP, Sandton YP initiative, which was hosted recently in March, that was centered around introducing us as a committee, as the YP, the programs which we have started and the projects which we're working on as well. But today we are gathered for our 3rd event of the year, which is focused on breaking that glass ceiling, and it is hosted by our Gender Desk portfolio. So now the main theme around this event is with regards to creating the spaces in which you wish to see yourself in, and not necessarily waiting for someone to create that space for you and hand it to you on a silver platter. So without further ado, I would just like to hand over to our chairperson, Ayanda Masina, who will also be introducing our guest speaker.
So thank you, Palisa, for that introduction. Yo, guys, you know, when they say Murphy's Law, like literally my laptop just stopped working like 2 minutes into, 6 o'clock. So I had to improvise. So I'm on my phone now, but we can go on because the show has to go on. So like Palisa was saying, my name is Ayanda Masina. I am the current chairperson of the young professionals in the Sandton branch. And I'm basically responsible for overseeing what happens in the branch. And I'm also in charge of the Gender Desk, which is the portfolio that is hosting this particular event. And the reason why we had this event was because really, we wanted to speak to somebody who's doing amazing things in her space. Somebody who, like Opalisa was saying, who just decided, you know what, I'm not gonna wait for somebody to give me something on a silver platter. I am going to do this myself. I am going to create this table and I'm going to invite the people I want at this table. And I'm going to invite the people who I think should be sitting with me at this table. And that is Unompumelelo Xulu. I'm going to introduce her shortly. But I just wanted to introduce the event. It's not a presentation. She's not presenting. It's a conversation between me and her. And we're just literally talking about her journey of how she got here and what it means to be the founder and the MD of your own law firm at a very young age. I won't mention her age, but at a very young age at that. And so when I thought about having this conversation, I thought, like, I really want an individual that resonates with what the BMF is all about. And that is exactly what she is. And earlier this week, I spoke to her. And Bumi, do you mind just putting on your camera? Because I want to see you when I say this. Thank you. So earlier on this week, I spoke to Mbumi and I was like, so this is what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday. And something she said resonated with me, and it stayed with me. And I knew this was the right person for this conversation. She said, no one enjoys sitting at a table by themselves. And I thought, what? Of course, like if you go to a wedding or you go to an event, you want to sit at the table where there are other people, because you're going to be talking, you're going to be discussing, you're going to be laughing. Mara, if you're like by yourself, you have yourself, your thoughts, that it's boring, and nobody wants to come and sit with just that one person. You're like, they don't look friendly because you're sitting there, you can't smile, you can't do anything by yourself. And I thought, you know what, actually, this is the perfect person to actually have this conversation with, because you resonate so much with what the BMF Young Professionals are about. We are about imparting knowledge, imparting skills to people. We want to invite people to the tables that we sit at. We want to say to young professionals, come and sit here with us. We want to say, you can sit here because I have given you 1, 2, 3, in that I'm going to impart the stuff that I know from myself to you, so that you're able to sit at the table, so that you are able to give back, so that you are able to be like, I can talk here because Ayanda has said, do 1, 2, 3, so the things that I know, the things that I've learned, I'm then passing on. And that's exactly what, like, when you said that to me, I thought, yeah, that's definitely what it is. And you also said, there is no table that was meant or that was made for one chair. And I'm just like, yo, this girl, oh my goodness, there is no one, like, there's no table that's ever been made just for one chair to sit, The very concept of a table is that you're going to have people around it. You're going to have people giving into it. You're going to have people discussing things. You're going to have all of those things. You can't just buy a table and have one chair. I mean, even in your house, it looks lonely. So I'm very, very happy to have you, Mpumi, specifically in this conversation. And I think those 2 things that you said to me earlier this week, it just made me like sure that you are the perfect person to be having this conversation with. So because, like I said, we're very aligned as the BMF Young Professionals with what you are doing. Now, I'm going to introduce you, but I'm going to do it slowly because it's a mouthful. There's a lot. There's a lot. So, yes. So, everybody, this is Unompumelelo Xulu. She is currently the founder and MD of NS Xulu Incorporated, which is a law firm that deals mainly with property law. And you also touch on some family law in terms of anti-network contracts, but we'll speak about that shortly. But over and above being the MD, you are also an admitted attorney, you are a conveyancer, and you're also a notary public. So for me, I understand what those things are because I'm also a lawyer, but I just want us to talk about everybody who's watching and everybody who'll be watching the video 2, 3, 10 years from now, to understand what exactly that means. What do those roles actually mean?
So can I answer now? Yes.
By all means.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. Hi Ayanda. Thank you so much for having me on this platform. Basically what it means, I won't lie to you, it's a whole lot of responsibility. A whole lot of responsibility. A whole lot of trust goes into the work that I do. So let me just break it down as to the 3 different roles, the 3 different admissions that I had gone through and what they mean. So, an attorney, firstly, is a person who has studied their 4-year LLB degree um, and that has finished their degree, and you would have had to also do 2 years articles with an attorney's law firm. During those articles, you would also have to write 4 board exams, pass those board exams, and then be admitted as an attorney. If you don't do your 2-year if you don't do your 2-year articles, you can serve your articles for 1 year, provided that you have also done a practical legal training course of 6 months. During that period, you would also write those 4 board exams. And then once you've written those 4 board exams and passed, you will then be able to be admitted as an attorney of the High Court of South Africa. So after I did my 2 years of serving articles at an attorney's law firm in Durban, I also wrote my board exams, the 4 board exams, passed those board exams, and then I got admitted as an attorney. Thereafter, I then decided to write my conveyancing exam. So the conveyancing exam is basically a specialist exam that you would write as an attorney. And it basically allows you to be a conveyancer. And what a conveyancer does is I basically sign on all transfer documents and mortgage bonds, and basically all the documents that are submitted in the deeds offices, in any deeds office in the country, allowing the transfer of rights to property, basically. And then the notarial, and then I then wrote the notarial practice exam, which is also a specialist exam, allowing me to become a notary public. Where, well, notary publics, what they do, you either one draft and execute a notarial documents, which would be your powers of attorney, your antenuptial contracts, and as you said, your servitudes, your rights of way, servitudes, pipeline servitudes, road servitudes that are typically all done by the municipalities, trusts, the registration of trusts. A lot of people are into trusts now. A lot of people have they want to buy assets and put them in a trust for the beneficiaries. Beneficiaries typically being their children or whomever. So that's basically what being an attorney, conveyancer, and notary public is. So it involves you being very articulate, very particular, and very what's the word I'm looking for? On the ball, because everything that you put into those documents that you submit to the deeds registry have to be correct. By you signing on those documents, you basically confirm the correctness of that document. So you constantly have to check your FICA. FICA is a big thing now, verifying basically the parties involved, who they are. Have I checked? Ayanda, if you are buying a property, that you are Ayanda Masina, that is your ID, that is your address, this is your income tax number, so it involves, you being very, very sharp and checking, making sure that everything is correct, because everything that is being registered and passed in the deeds office, and you have signed on it, confirming it to be true, and that literally falls on my hands. So I have to be very. Some clients tend to shy away. Sometimes they say, okay, yeah, please do this for me, and then as soon as I request certain documents from them, they disappear, because they don't realize, the implications of what being an attorney and conveyancer, are, huge financial implications. A lot of corruption and a lot of fraud, is involved. Well, sure, we see every day a lot of corruption, a lot of fraud is happening in our country, and a lot of the fraudsters are targeting these offices. They're targeting property transfers. I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories of people telling you, "Oh my goodness, apparently somebody is, so I bought a property somewhere, or somebody bought my house, or and it's it's not true. So you have to be very honest, I must say, very honest person, because the job that you do requires a lot of honesty, and for you to be on the ball and request those documents from clients without compromising on anything. So yeah, that's basically what I do.
It sounds like a lot, eh? Like
That is.
I'm just thinking, like when you say you need to make sure that the documents are 100. So just a question then, just like, because on your day to day, if I give you documentation and it's not correct and you submit it, what happens? Like, because surely it will be something on you as opposed to me as the client.
Mm-hmm. That's why I have to, when I say, please may I have a certified ID copy less than 3 months, and you decide you're going to give me an ID that's not clear, I can't even make out, the number 8 from the number 6 from your ID. It is not certified. And you're like, no, just take this. No, I can't accept that. Not only that, you will have to come into the office to sign the documents. And when you do, I will require your ID document. I need to see it. And I need to then have a certified copy in my file confirming that you are Ayanda Masina. We do, I also have a system that I work on where we do checks. I have to do these office searches on you. Are you married, unmarried, married out of community of property, married in community of property? Other people married in community of property running around here saying they're not married and thinking that they can sign on documents without involving their wives. So I need to make sure that that wife comes in to sign those documents. So, it involves a whole lot of that. And should it happen? I mean, nobody is perfect. Should it happen that those documents are incorrect, it falls on you. What is in your file? Ayanda, did you do the necessary checks? Ayanda Mazina came to my office to sell a property, and she said she wasn't married. Are there any steps that I took to check that to be true? In a world of technology and advanced technology at that. Why didn't I do the necessary searches? Because that's the first thing that we do. Before a file is open, you request FICA documents from a client. Certified IDs less than 3 months, your proof of residence less than 3 months, proof of SARS, income tax registration. All your documents need to be in order. A lot of people out here taking opening files as attorneys, they're opening files without checking the necessary FICA documentation. And that is why, I'd say the legal fraternity has been, quite frowned upon, in recent years, because you have a lot of, I'll say, crooked lawyers, crooked attorneys. There are no shortcuts, and you have to deal with each matter meticulously, with efficiency, and make sure that from the moment you open that file, if you've taken each and every step that you're supposed to make sure that your file is a clean file. Nothing will come back at a later stage. And as a conveyancer, you're literally acting for the seller, because the seller wants his money, and you're also acting for the buyer because the buyer wants the property. So you are acting in the interest of both these parties. So you need to make sure, and they're trusting you because you literally are the middleman. So you need to make sure that both parties are happy. How do you do that? You make sure that from the get-go, both parties, you've requested the documents and that you're handling their file in a professional manner. So that's just how the cookie crumbles. It is a lot of work, tiring. It requires me to be alert all the time, but that's just how it is. It's just the nature of the game that I'm in.
So just with that, if I, because I mean, how I know you is that you helped me buy my first property, over and above the other ways I know you. But you helped me buy my first property. And I mean, that experience was just so terrifying, you know? And when things happen, like at the last minute, I got dropped by, my financier. And I was just like, okay, now what? Like, and I was freaking out, I was freaking out. I'm like, for me, I don't know what to do. Like, now I don't have a bond anymore. What am I going to do? And you were so calm about it. And you're like, don't worry, these things happen. And you're just like so level-headed, and like, these are the steps we're going to take in order for this thing to go through. Don't worry, you're going to get your property. And with that in mind, for anybody who's just buying property, right? First time buyers, and especially also people like you were talking about, people who are married in community of property, what are the things that they need to be aware of? Like, okay, there's a house. I want to buy that house. Where do I go? What do I do?
Okay. So first and foremost, you go house shopping. Okay. Go house shopping. You can either approach an estate agent, because the seller would have given them a mandate to sell or to advertise the property on their behalf. Or if you know of a seller, you can approach them privately, and you two can then assign a private sale agreement, or you can approach a conveyancer like myself to draft a sale agreement for you, and get both parties to sign. If you go the estate agent route, typically the estate agent will have their standard sale agreement ready, and you will then sign their sale agreement. They will then appoint a conveyancer to then take over the process. So once the sale has been finalized and both parties have agreed on that property, on the purchase price, everybody is happy with that. The conveyancer is then instructed to take over and deal with the transfer. So basically, two things happen. First, it's the sale, where the parties agree on what they are buying and what they are selling and for how much. Then, once that has been concluded, the transfer will then kick in. Transfer involves a conveyancer such as myself. Like I said, we open a file, check your FICA documentation, make sure that the funds are available. Either one, parties can agree on a cash sale. If the purchasers have that amount, in the sale agreement, it will state when those funds will be paid into the conveyancer's trust account. Okay, and it will be the conveyancer's responsibility to invest that money for their client, the purchaser, so that they gain interest. Because a typical property transfer will normally take anything between 2 months and beyond. Okay, because each case is different. But typically, it'll take 2 to 3 months to get registered. Okay. Then that purchase price would be secured in that way. Or if the buyer decides no, they would rather get the financing from the bank, they will then approach the bank in order to get a mortgage bond, confirming that uh, they will give the sellers a guarantee, confirming that no, that purchase price will be released on transfer of the property into the purchaser's name. Once that is done, and we have received those guarantees, we then proceed to make sure that we have the relevant rates clearance certificates. Basically, that confirms that all the rates on that property has been paid up. The last thing that you want to do as a buyer of a property is to buy a property and inherit the seller's rates debt or electricity debt or water debt that they have the municipality. So we have to make sure that that rates clearance certificate is in place. Also, we would also get the transfer duty receipt from SARS, transfer duty that will be paid for by the purchaser. Okay. Um, so depending on what your purchase price is, if it is above R1,000,000, okay, you will have to pay certain transfer duty to SARS. Okay. So the conveyancer will then facilitate that process for you and obtain the transfer duty receipt. also the seller will have to get an electrical compliance certificate. And in coastal areas like Durban, they would also have to get a wood borer or pest control certificate, just confirming that there is no wood infesting insects on that property. And also when it comes to the electrical compliance certificate, confirming that all the electrical wiring and connections on the property are perfect, and nothing will come back after they've taken transfer of the property to bite them. So once those certificates are also in place, the transfer duty, the transfer documents are drafted and signed by the parties, yeah, everything is lodged in the deeds office. Typically, where there is a mortgage bond and a transfer, and a bond cancellation, where the seller would also have to cancel their bond on the property if they have one. All those three transactions would happen on the same day. And what's very important for the viewers to know is that no money, okay, very important, no money from the purchaser is passed to the seller prior to transfer. Okay, so how I always explain how the whole money a transfer thing works. It's like going into a shopping a mall to a shopping center and buying bread. Okay, you don't get to go into a store and take the bread and say, okay, next week I'll come back with the 20 bucks for this bread, or leave a 10 rand deposit and say, okay, come back tomorrow and finish it off, and say, no. When you take the bread, you leave the money. And that is exactly how I always advise my clients when it comes to the transfer of property. Okay, the day that you get a call from your conveyancer confirming that the property has been registered in your name is the day that the seller will also get their purchase price. It is a transfer. That is why it's called a registration of transfer. It's literally a transfer. You get the money, I get the property. As soon as I get the property, you get the money.
Okay.
Whatever you do not be entering into agreements where no, leave 25,000. It's very quick. Otherwise, I'm gonna move on to the next buyer. I don't have time. No, please. It doesn't work like that. It's a transfer, and that's exactly how it works. That's why the seller is furnished with a guarantee. You would have typically heard of that term being used. No, we're still waiting for guarantee. Because that guarantee basically states that your bank that you have decided to enter into a mortgage bond with has provided the seller with a guarantee confirming that they have the funds readily available and that they will release those funds, being the purchase price, to them on the date of registration or transfer.
Okay, so just before I move on to the type of clients that you have, I just want to find out something about antenuptial contracts, right? So firstly, would you advise people who are getting married to just, yes, it's great, you marrying the love of your life, but okay, let's start here. In terms of assets, in terms of now thinking ahead, because people always think if you have an antenuptial contract, you're thinking divorce. Like, why? I don't know why people link it. But so my question is, what exactly is an antenuptial contract, firstly? And secondly, would you advise people to get it, yes, honeymoon phase where you guys are still planning your wedding and you don't want to dampen the mood by saying, I think we should have an antenuptial contract, but I just want people to understand what it means. And also, if you just decide to get married in community of property, what that means as well.
Okay. All right. So in South Africa, we have three types of matrimonial property regimes. Okay. The first one being that you'll be married in community of property, which means that 50% of your spouse's asset, you literally be liable for 50% of your spouse's liabilities, and you will also basically own 50% of your spouse's assets. Okay, so that's
Mm.
your first regime, being married in community of property. Right. Now, where an antenuptial contract comes into play is where the parties have opted to not get married in community of property. Um, and then there are two more regimes that we have to consider, right? That is being married out of community of property with accrual, and then being married out of community of property without accrual. So what accrue is, it's basically the growth in your partner's assets. Okay, and I'll get into that shortly. So what then happens with a marriage out of community of property is that parties will sign an antenuptial contract, okay? And basically what this means is that they are then married out of community of property, meaning that each party, okay, is responsible for their assets and liabilities, meaning that you as the spouse, okay, you do not own any share in their assets, and you do not take any responsibility when it comes to, or any liability when it comes to their expenses. Okay, so each party basically, I'll say they have their own financial freedom. Okay, each party will enter into their own contracts without necessarily having to obtain the consent of the other party. Okay,
All
so
right.
and what it typically is, like you were saying, I a lot of people then believe, oh, you don't love me, you think I'm here, I'm in it for the money. No. You see what an anti-nuptial contract and what being married out of community or property allows you, particularly in this day and age. And let me just give you a practical example. I under COVID-19 that just happened when nobody foresaw COVID-19 to happen. Okay.
Mm.
So let's say you and I get married, I under. Okay. I run my own law firm in Xulu Inc. You are employed, right? Um, at a certain company. COVID-19 comes through, and my business is not able to survive the lockdown. Okay, COVID-19 hit a lot of business. A lot of
Yeah.
businesses went down during COVID-19. So because you and I are married out of community of property, um, my business would have fallen under, and me and my liability, I would have had to take care of my own liabilities that really would not bring you down. Okay,
Mm.
so it would allow us, in such a situation, for you to then be able to carry on with the runnings of the household because your salary has not been affected. Whereas if we're
Mm.
married and you literally are liable for 50% of all of my debt, and my rental
Mm.
was piling up, salaries were piling up, we're both in this mess together, literally, financially, even. We're both in
Yeah.
it, Whereas when I'm falling under financially, you know, with this regime of being married and out of community of property, you are then able to, because your salary hasn't been affected, you're then able to say, okay, let me, try and, carry on with the day-to-day runnings, and maybe take
Mm.
over also some of the things that I can't take over anymore. Because me going under is not affecting you financially at all, or vice versa. A lot of companies retrenched during COVID-19.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe you get retrenched, and then what happens?
Mm.
You know, now I have to take, I'm literally liable for 50% of your debt. Whereas if we are married in community of property, whereas if we're married out of community of property, you are then you will then be able to you will then be able to deal with your debts and all your financial hiccups that you're going through, whilst I'm able, to carry on uh, with my assets and the finances, also being able to cover yours. So, especially people in business, I always advise them on this, that what, you cannot in 2021 put yourself in a position where, if I go under, so do you.
Yeah.
You will need, you will need the other to literally carry the other when the one goes down. And that's the beauty of an antenuptial contract, and that's why I would always advise parties to take it. Because whether you are in business or not, a pandemic like COVID-19 can hit at any time. Doesn't even have to be a pandemic of COVID-19. I'm just using that as an example. Anything can happen. I'm in business right now. Anything can happen to my business. You know, I could literally, God forbid, walk out of here and somebody decides to chop off my hand, the very hand that I used to sign transfer documents, and then how the hell am I gonna work? You know, so when you're in a relationship, with when you guys get married, always look at it as a partnership where the one party, you know, will always be there for the other, and we don't just that in terms of you can only do that way 50% of your assets are mine, you know because that's what it is. And we never look at, 50% of your liabilities are mine as well. Like 50% of your assets are mine, 50% of your liabilities as well are mine, you know so that's what parties typically miss, or that's what parties, I don't know why, but they seem to forget that it's all about the asset. Yeah, because if you
Yeah.
don't share 50% of your assets with me, you don't love me. But what you haven't considered is that, if 50% of my assets are yours, 50% of my liabilities are yours as well. You know? So look at it from that perspective. 50-50, that's what 50-50 means. 50,
It means,
50 good and
like,
50 not so good.
so now let me ask this question, because I've heard it so many times and I'm not sure if it's true. So let's say I get married and we get married in community of property, right? And then my husband then decides, or let's say he has kids outside the marriage, or he has a child whilst we're together, and then somewhere somehow he loses his job, right? And then the mother of the child decides to put in child support maintenance. Please, you need to maintain my child. And then the court agrees, yes, he needs to maintain. And then he's maintaining, and then he loses his job. I'm working, or I have a business. Um, so then can they then say, because 50% liability, must I then pay like the child support? Like I've heard it so many times and I'm like, guys, it can't be true. Like you can't
No,
tell
I
me
had that.
it can't. Like I'm just
Accept my begging. I had
like that liability, is it part of my, like how can it be 50%? No, surely not.
no, I had to accept my begging, girl. Accept my begging, hey. No, but okay, but jokes aside, jokes aside, when you're married out of community or property, the other's liabilities has nothing to do with you.
Okay.
Just like their assets as well, they have nothing to do with you. Where party,
Mm.
so in a scenario like that, you would not be liable. You wouldn't be liable because you guys are married out of community or property, meaning that if there are any orders that have been taken against your husband for any
Mm.
child maintenance or whatever, you are not liable for any of his debts, and neither is
Okay.
he. Yeah. So parties must always look at it from that perspective. Okay. It's
Mm.
not about you don't love me. It's about being wise enough to say, my darling, 2021.
Mm.
Okay. The days in this day and age, I as a female, I have financial freedom. Long gone of those days where the husband, had marital power or whatever mess that was. We're not there anymore. Okay. Parties have the option now. They've been, our law is just so beautiful in that it has, it serves to empower. It serves to empower everybody. It serves to empower all the parties that are involved in that relationship, So what it is, and I always say that an anti-nuptial contract is there to empower you, okay, to be able to enter into contracts without having to first run anything, with anybody else, and of course, depending on the dynamics of your relationship, you two can discuss it or not, whatever. That's not what we're here for. But what people need to understand is that with an anti-nuptial contract, you do not get to inherit anybody's debt, and they don't get to inherit yours either. Okay, so let's not look at it in a sense of I want 50% of everything that you own or that you have, because you don't know the liabilities or the debts that come with that person. So stay away from them. Shy away from them. They have nothing to do with you, and that's what I would advise anybody. And that's why I love this platform, because you have young people wanting to know more about these things. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you and your partner signing an anti-nuptial contract. And like I said earlier, it can be either one with accrual or one without accrual. Accrual is basically the growth in your partner's estate. So let me give you an example. Ayanda, let's say Ayanda, you buy a property right now, and that property of yours is worth 100,000 rand today. You take transfer of the property, you and I get married, okay? Out of community of property with accrual. It's 2021 today. You and I get married, all lovely, we're happy. And in 2031, another COVID-19 pandemic hits, and you and I fight, and we just can't handle the lockdown, and we decide to divorce. If we divorce, um, in 2031, and your property is now worth 1 million rand, that would mean that your property has grown, okay, by a good 900,000 rand. Okay, that's the growth in your estate from the time that we got married until the date of divorce. So I would be entitled to a share, okay, of the growth within your estate. Okay, not entitled to the whole 900,000. No. Not entitled to 50% of it. No, there's a way that they calculate it, and you'd literally just be entitled to a share in your partner's growth in your partner's in the growth in their estate. Alternatively, some parties opt no, they don't want that option, and that is perfectly fine as well. You can get married out of community or property without accrual. It just depends on what it is that you want to do. And it doesn't mean that the other party doesn't love you. As a matter of fact, I always say you're actually protecting me, because I don't want anything to do with your debts. I don't need them. I don't need that. What did you say? Child maintenance support. It's okay. Keep it. Keep it. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah. If I want to, I'll donate to the child, but it's okay. Don't force me. Don't compel me. And
So just with that, who are your clients? Like, who are the people who come in? I'm just talking demographics now. Who are people buying property right now? And just in your experience with your own law firm, ever since you started, who is buying property? Is it all people, young people? Is it professionals? Is it Black professionals? Because I mean, the land, we're still on the part of the land. So I just want to know if people are actually putting it into practice and actually taking out the money, not just saying the land, but they're just like, actually, I'm going to own some of that land, whichever form it's in, firstly. And secondly, also with the anti-nuptial contracts, like, do you get young people getting married, coming to you and being like, hey, listen, hey, like, I might not even have that much assets, or, but I'm just thinking forward. Yeah, or is it also like old people who are like, yeah, even us, we want to get married, but like, we want to separate. So like, who are the people who come to you for the work that you actually provide?
When you say old, Ayanda, who exactly are you referring to?
Mpume, like, man, like, I don't
Be
want to like
careful of
point
that word, Ayanda. You and I could actually be falling in that category, Jay, even now. But
so,
yes,
yeah,
no,
just demographics. But I mean,
a lot of young Black professionals are buying property, and it's so beautiful to see. A lot of young Black people are investing in property. A lot of young
great.
Black people just want to know, even, some of them don't even have the funds as yet, but they know that, one day this is what I'm aspiring to do. This is what I'm aspiring to invest in. How does it work? What would you need? A lot. Anti-nuptial contracts as well. A lot of young couples. I see a lot of young couples. And when it comes to ANCs, Black, white, Indian, those, everybody. And it's really beautiful to see, because we normally, have this mindset, like you said, bring back the land. Black people are investing in property. And how I would know this also is because I sit on the panels of certain banks, and I then register their mortgage bonds. So they typically would give me their instructions to register their clients' mortgage bonds, and a lot of young people are buying properties. A lot of middle-aged people as well are buying properties. So your typical 50-year-olds, late 40s, they're also buying a lot of properties. And I typically normally see people in those ages are on to like their second or third properties, which is beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay. Also, typically the 70 people in their 70s, 60, 65, they're normally selling because they want to move. They're downsizing now, so they want to move into a smaller property. The kids have left the house, or they've decided maybe they want to go into a retirement type of a village, or more into an estate, or gated area where they'll feel more safe, because they're finding that they're more fragile at that age. So typically they're getting rid of property, but a lot of young people are buying. And going back to our conversation about anti-nuptial contracts, I see a lot of couples buying together. So they're married out of community of property, but they're buying properties together. That doesn't stop you from buying properties together. Um, you and I could get married tomorrow out of community of sign an anti-nuptial contract. We're married out of community of property, and we buy properties together. That the title deed will have both our names on it. One, and Messina, with your identity number, marital status, married out of community of property. Transferee number two being Monompumelelo Kulu, identity number, married out of community of property. There's actually nothing stopping you. Or if parties decide that they want to get married in community of property, they'll also buy together. Of course, their marital status is being reflected on the documents as being married in community of property. What I'm seeing a lot of now as well, and that people typically look at as a taboo, but I'm really loving, because it just shows you that we live in such a different time. A lot of couples, boyfriend and girlfriend, or girlfriend and girlfriend, or boyfriend and boyfriend, are buying properties together. People are no longer being, no, we have to get married first, and then no, people are, this is what they want to do. They love each other, they want to live together, so let's do it. And that's what they want to do. and they do it. And it's so refreshing to see, because you see that these people, are partners, because it's literally it really that you guys have entered into a partnership where that goes over and above the romance part of it, but
Yeah.
also you are both like-minded. You want to invest in property together, you want to build and grow something together. So yeah, it's really refreshing to see. And coming from an African
Yeah.
family myself, where that would typically be frowned upon by my mom, if my boyfriend and I want to buy a property together,
Mm.
why not? We love each other, and that's what we want to do. We're both like-minded, and that's what we want to do as soon as possible. As opposed to the whole lobola, that
Is that
it comes with a whole lot of expenses. By the time we're done with all of that whole process, where are we going to get the money to buy our property? So it's just really beautiful to see young people thinking outside of the box and not being confined to what would typically be a couple buying their first property together. Also friends. I do a lot of transfers where friends come in and they're like, what, yeah, we want to buy a property together. We've been renting together for a while, so we've just decided, if you guys have that relationship of trust, and you
Yeah.
guys, and you guys are happy with that decision, by all means, do it. Just make sure that you are like-minded, and that
Yeah.
nobody will come through 2 years later like, hey, you know this is not working. Just make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, because it does have a lot of financial implications. If you're buying the property cash, just make sure that everything is 50-50. That's one thing I would advise, because you find typically with these deals, maybe I'll say, okay, Anna, I'll pay for all the transfer and bond costs. Okay, you can pay me later. Ayanda, awusakhokhi ayanda. You don't come back now. Just make sure that if you guys do, because at the end of the day, it's if two of you decide to buy a property, you both own 50% in that property. You both own a half share in the property. So also the finances, when it comes to that, let them show that I own half and you also own half. Don't overextend yourself. I always say when it comes to these kinds of things, because you never know. Finances always just have a way of coming back and literally biting us in the bum once the transfer has been registered. And also, if you guys decide that you're going to buy a property together, but and this is for couples being married, in community, out of community or property, uh, people who are friends, partners. Just always make sure that you guys, have a. I always advise parties to have a separate agreement that just sets out the terms and conditions of how this is going to work. Because at the end of the day, especially if you guys are going to be getting a mortgage bond, that mortgage bond repayment will only come off of one account. So if you and I buy a property together, and I'm the main applicant, yes, they will look at both our credit scores, and if they're happy that you can, and they look at our scores and they say, okay, they're happy, we're going to be able to afford to repay this mortgage bond. Only one of us is going to get debited at the end of the month. So we need to have those conversations, those very uncomfortable conversations from the jump. So whether it be that it's with regards to an anti-nuptial contract, whether it be it's with regards to a property, let's have those conversations from the get-go, so that we all know what we're getting ourselves into, um, and yeah, and that we're both happy with our decisions, and that down the line, should anything go pear-shaped, because our minds are are in agreement, you know, it won't then affect our investment, because at the end of the day, buying a property is an investment. So let's, let's have those conversations, before we enter into any agreement. And also, let's ask, let's watch webinars like this. Call me. All it takes is just to call a condenser or anybody who would be able to assist you. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, that's all it takes. Just pick up the phone, send an email. We even have a work WhatsApp. Just inquire if there's any specific question that you want to know. Just always make sure that you're informed. That you have all your questions answered before you enter into any contract. It doesn't even necessarily have to do with the property, or an antenatal contract. But you're young and smart and quite capable of making sure that you read all the terms and conditions before you put your signature on any paper, on any dotted line.
So there's a question here in the Q&A. So Umfundo Zama is asking, what would be your take regarding the terms and conditions given to Black people compared to white people? In the instance of interest rate, would you regard them to be fair or justifiable? And this is taking into consideration the risk assessments conducted. So I don't know if.
So I would think she's referring to the actual the banks when she gives that.
Yeah, I would think so too, because it's with regards to the interest rate. So
okay, so the nice thing about it is that you have a choice in this country which bank you're going to go with. You're not just confined to one bank. Okay, you can shop around and look at which bank is offering you the best interest rate for you. Okay, you're not confined to just one bank. So now typically now we've got even mortgage originators who will literally do the running around for you. Uh, they will check, okay, this bank has said yes, and these are their terms and conditions, and this is the interest rate that they're giving you. And it is up to you to say yes or no to that. If you are feeling, or if you're finding that a specific bank is not offering you at the best interest rate, go knock on the next door. We have a lot of banks in this country, and I can tell you there are certain banks that are pro young Black professionals. Okay, and they make sure that they cater specifically for young Black people. So don't just confine yourself or accept anything being handed out to you. Shop around, shop around, give yourself time to see, okay, what's more favorable to you as a young Black professional in this country. So I think that's the best thing that you can do. As to how they weigh or what they do in the banks, I would know. I don't work for the bank, so I won't tell you how they actually decide on, giving a certain person, this deal, or giving this certain person that deal. But I do know for a fact, because I do sit on um, uh, different banks conveyancing panels, that there are certain banks in this country that cater specifically for Black people, um, uh, particularly young Black people. So please give yourself time. You said Umfundo that asked, or Umfundo?
yeah.
So Umfundo or Umfundo?
Mfundo.
Okay, so Mfundo, please make sure that you shop around and that you get the best interest rate deal possible that is out there. Okay.
So let me just ask you, just thinking about the demographics of all the people you mentioned who are coming to you and buying property, the friends, the partners. How how do you normally get work? Like, do you get referrals? Do you yeah, let me just ask it, let me ask it in that way without going any further. How do you normally get your clients?
So let me start from the get-go. In my first year, I started the law firm in 2017. The whole of 2017, I did not bill any work. I did not register any transfers in the deeds office. And all I could keep doing that year is just to keep knocking and saying, this is me, these are my qualifications, this is what I do. Please give me, please give me a shout one day. Please give me a try and see. You know, that's all I could do. And lo and behold, um, one person decided, okay, we know you, let's give you a try, and then the next, and then I registered my first property. I think it was in the beginning of, it was in January 2017. Actually, a friend of mine um, uh, 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 was buying a property, and she told the seller, she said, I'm not going to buy your property unless you use my friend. And this is the only person that I'm trusting with my conveyancing. And unless you use her, I'm not gonna buy your property. And the sellers were like, what? And the sellers were in Pretoria. This lovely, lovely Afrikaner a couple were like, what? And she was just like, listen here, I'm telling you, I'm not gonna buy, I've got the money and I'm not gonna buy unless you use my friend. And they were like, okay. They just, they needed somebody to buy the property. And, she was just like, I'm not hearing it, because, it's typically the seller's prerogative, to say which converters they're going to use. But she was adamant. She was just like, seller, I hear what you're saying, but what I'm telling you is that I'm going to use my friend. And she did. And that was the first transfer that I registered, literally a whole year later, because I started the law firm in March 2017. 2017, and then in January 2018. Sorry, I mixed up the years earlier. I registered the first property, and after that, it was the estate agent who was involved in that deal who was extremely impressed with our service, and she then referred another deal. And and then we knocked on the banks also on their doors, and we're like, hi, listen, there's a law firm here. Are you convincing? I know you guys have a convincing panel. What are your requirements? And I remember the first bank that I approached, they told me that I needed to they told me that I needed to have 10 million rand in my trust account. And I didn't even have 10 rand in my personal account. I was like, 10 million. Hey, what's going on here? I was like, you know what? I'm not, and then I remember I was so down after that guy told me that. I was just, when those days where you just feel like, you know, I'll try again next week maybe, because even tomorrow I won't be able to. Yeah, tomorrow, And the very next day, I then went into a branch, another bank branch, and I literally just asked. I was like, "Hi, I'm a conveyancer by profession, and I just like to find out about your conveyancing panel." And the branch manager at that bank actually said to me, honestly, my darling, I'm not even going to lie to you. I have no idea what you're talking about. So let's send them an email, head office in Joburg, and find out, because we don't know. In fact, you're going to send the email from your profile. So I logged on and you said, send the email. It was like, yeah, it was like a chat. I think they have like a chat thingy-majig that banks do now. And I said, okay, this is my name and this is what I do. And I just like to find out what your requirements are. Please, consider me. I look forward to hearing from you. This is my number. This is my email. And that was it. I literally just let it go. After the whole 10 million, I was literally also expecting them to come back with a 10 million rand requirement. And they came back 2 months later with an email to my work email address, and they said, "Hello, no, Pumelo, we received your query, and these are our requirements." Which I had. It was, the Fidelity Fund certificate. I had that. Tax clearance. I had that. BEE certificate. I had that. One thing though, they need additional insurance. Professional indemnity cover of, I think they needed a top up of like 1.5 million rand or something like that. So now I had to go around shopping for this professional indemnity cover of 1.5 million or 2 million. I actually can't even remember what it is I wanted. And I then shop around, and then I found the cheapest quote. I think it was 7.5. So the premium was going to be 7,500 rand, to cover me for the year. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. So how much per month? They say no, because it's below 10,000. It's not per month. It's a once off.
Oh, okay.
7,000. It took me 3 months to raise 7,500 rand, and I was what? And then and then I submitted 3 months later, and then they accepted me onto their panel. But literally, it took a good another 6-7 months for them to finalize everything and get back to me. But it just speaks to the fact that you must never get tired of not.
Yeah.
You must never, ever. And that is, the one piece of advice that I can give, on the viewers, and all the members of BMF, young professionals. Never get tired of your dream. Knock on each door. I promise you.
So
out of 10, 2 will open.
Just talking about that, I'm going to ask you another question, which is in the Q&A. But before, because I see you, that is cool. Time is running. So I just have like 1 or 2 other things I want us to talk about. Then I'll come back to the question. I mean, you mentioned that you sit on panels, bank panels. But now, when you told me the other things you do, I thought, there are only 24 hours in a day. So I don't know how you do this. So I'm just going to go through the extra things that you do. Over and above, obviously running an entire law firm, because that's basically what you're doing. You're running an entire law firm. You also sit on a couple of boards, right? You are a board member of the Kwamashu Family and Child Welfare Society Board. You're in the ESCO for the Umhlanga Women Achiever. I don't think a lot of people know that you're actually based in Durban.
Yeah.
Even though you're
everywhere. That's why
Anyway, in South Africa, the fact is you're based in Durban. And when I remember when I bought my property, somebody said to me, but why don't you just use a conveyancer in Joburg? I was like, I want this one. This one is the one who's going to register my property. They're like, oh, but she's in Durban. I'm like, don't worry about her. She's going to get it. She's like, she knows what she's doing. So, so you sit on that ESCO in Mhlanga. Then you're also the Deputy Secretary of St. Martin. Is it
St. Martin's de Porres? Yeah.
Okay. Is it an entity, like an organization that?
Yeah. So basically, it's just it's a Catholic church in a rural area called Amahlongwa, and which is basically where I come from, and it really goes out to literally check where can we lend a hand,
Oh my gosh,
who needs a blanket, who needs food, COVID-19, some families, lost everything, so where can we help? And that's really just honestly when I left the big corporate companies. I remember I'd even gotten, after I left the last a big corporate that I worked for, I then got an offer from a Fortune 500 company in Joburg, and I had to sit down and say, no, that's not what I want to do. I had
Yeah.
been fortunate enough to be hired by these big corporates, ever since I started, my career. But I just wasn't happy. It was just something missing that I can't even tell you what it was, but I just wasn't truly, at peace and happy. And I think it was at, how old was I when I started the film? Oh gosh, I think that was what, 28, 27, 28. And I just decided, what, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I've been unhappy for what now, 4 or 5 years. Hey, yeah, it's just it's not my portion. Um, I just don't want to be unhappy anymore. So okay, and then I just had to sit down and think, what do I want to do? What is it that you want? And when I got that offer, yay, awesome, Joburg, yay. My gosh, I just saw the house, I saw the car, but I just, and then I just had to search deep down within myself that, okay, Mpome, is this really, really what you want to do? And at the very deep down in my heart, I knew not, because I love children. I love kids. I love seeing them smile. I love putting a smile on their faces. I love interacting with them, and I love the elderly. It reminds me of my grandmother, whom I lost, like 20 years ago. But still, whenever I see somebody elderly, it just, so at the core of Xulu Inc. is me, and it is charity work, and it is putting a smile, even if it's just on one child's face, on one elderly person's face, even if it's, helping a victim of domestic abuse with clothing, or that is what Xulu Inc. for me is about. It's not just a table of young Black professionals who are, literally breaking down barriers in the conveyancing and property law space, but also a table where giving back, is at the core, where the table is big enough to empower those less fortunate than us. The table is big enough, to set aside an hour, 2 hours, even, more than that, to try and get those shoes that we want for the kids of a certain school. The table is big enough, to put aside, the fees for a while, and make sure that the soup is ready, for someone who does not have any other meal for the day. So the reason why I'm involved in so many organizations um, that are really just about giving back is because I found that so many people have given me a chance in my career, and I'm at a place where I have a platform now to do so much, and why not contribute, why not help others be the best that they can be. All it takes is somebody believing in you. So at the core of me and the law firm is making sure that we empower um, just the world around us, the community around us, and yeah, so that's what drives me. That's what I enjoy doing. Um, so that's what I do. And 24 hours, if you enjoy something and you really love it, you will do it. Yeah, you'll do it because you love it, you enjoy it.
So one of the other things, just like the last one is you sit in the Women's Property Network in KZN, but also you're a lecturer. Like, you laugh like you forgot that you're
I did actually.
Come on, like
I did. I won't lie, I did. And I actually need to sort that out because you've got assignments to mark. But yeah, that's just it. And I'm a teacher at heart. I love
yeah,
teaching. I love imparting knowledge. Knowledge was imparted by somebody else to me.
yeah.
So why not do that? I love it. There's something about assisting a person from moving from A to B that is just so satisfying. And no amount of money can ever be enough, or quantify what that feeling is like, you know? So, yeah, I love it.
So
I love lecturing
let me
also.
let me just ask you this question, and then I'm gonna just have to maybe condense the rest of my conversation. So this question is from Ubuhlebet, and the question is, what advice would you give for someone who wants to buy property off plan?
Offline. Okay. Um, if you want to buy property off plan, uh, do it, but just have a clear a vision of what that property is actually going to look like. So if you are buying that property from a developer who's saying, yeah, I know the kitchen will be here, can they please just show you where or what it will look like? Because you
Okay.
need to, yeah, and when it will be finished, more or less, the estimation of when this development will be done. One of the things that we learn in law, and Ayanda, you will know this, is that when parties enter into an agreement, they have to both be of one mind. They have to both be, yes, consensus ad idem. You both need to be of one mind. So if you are buying a property off plan, thinking that the kitchen is actually going to be this side, and the kitchen is actually going to be that side, then that's a problem because yeah. So make sure that there's a clear plan. Make sure that you vetted that developer. Just find out in J. Oh, okay. So who's the developer here? Which developments have they done? Are they credible? Can we just, so before you go into all of that, just make sure that that developer you are buying from is a credible one, and that you have a clear idea of what the property will look like once it is done. Most developers will have this ready. They will know, and they will show you, the plan, what it is that they're looking at, more or less what it will look like. And if you're happy with that, then you know all systems go, and they'll tell you also, when more or less they're expecting the development to be finalized. Yeah, so we also have quite a clear idea of that. I know with COVID, a lot of developments, were stopped and everything just delayed. A lot of people who had put in money as a deposit, are now wanting it back because they actually don't need this property anymore. They just want the money back, So also just be mindful of that. Nothing in this life is guaranteed. But also, even if you were to buy a property that's already, there, you can see it, there's no guarantee that you'll actually be able to take transfer. So if you want to buy a property or plan, do so, but just have a clear a vision of what it will look like. And if you're happy with that, and you've vetted your developer, and everybody that you have spoken to, is telling you that they're credible, then yeah, why not go ahead?
Research is important.
Mm.
So I see that we're out of time. So what I'm just gonna ask you to do is maybe tell me and tell anybody who's just sitting thinking, what, corporate space is not for me, I don't want to be sitting here. I mean, look at Ayanda, she's at the office at 7 o'clock, I might still go and do work after this, because I have clients who also need stuff delivered. So maybe somebody sitting at home is like, you know what, I actually don't want that life. Like, the corporate life is not for me. I mean, I, for one, am not disciplined enough to have my own thing. I would just procrastinate until forever. But somebody sitting there is thinking, I'm ready. I heard Mpume speak. I see what she's doing. She loves it. I see the fact that for her, what it is, for her going out on her own, for her creating this table for her, this is what it is. So what advice would you give to someone who's just like, you know what, I'm ready? Because I mean, it's money. You, first of all, you are living security. You're living a secure salary. Not that
Medical
it's really
aid.
and we're one. Like I'm thinking it's secure, but I mean, retrenchments could happen anytime. But I mean, most people are thinking I'm secure here. I'm employed full time. I'm permanent. So why would I leave here and then go in? So I just want to know of yeah, what would you say to them? Like, now you're just going to start your own thing. This is what I would advise you to do. And also maybe what was said to you that you're now finding actually it might have been misrepresented or it was just understated. Yeah, for just somebody who wants to do their own thing, basically.
Firstly, you're still in the office I am.
I
So am I, girl. So am I. So that's it. You know, you
mm,
work hard for any dream of yours, and
mm,
whether that be, in a corporate office, like yourself, and or in my own office, you we both work extremely hard.
yeah.
What we do is our bread and butter, and we take pride in what we do. Um, so if you're finding yourself in a place where you're not happy where you are, it could be you know you have your own company, or you don't have your own company, or you are an employee. If wherever you are, if you are unhappy, just sit down and evaluate what's important to you. What are your priorities?
Mm,
Other people have children. I don't have a child. Other
mm,
people are married. I don't have a husband or a wife waiting for me at home.
mm,
So as long as you prioritize whatever it is that is important to you, um, and you're just constantly on a path where you are finding your true north and finding your best self, I would
yeah.
think let that guide you into whatever it is that you need to or that you need to do. And also, maybe if you're unhappy in a certain environment, it doesn't mean that in another company,
Yeah.
you'll have a similar experience. You may just have a completely different experience and love it. You know, so vet the companies that you are applying to, or vet the companies where you want to work at, because sometimes you find that sure they could be the best thing, but also could
Mm,
just be the worst thing. I know so many people who were once at another company that I used to work for, who were quite unhappy and who seem to be very happy now. So, so just yeah, just look.
mm,
You never know. Just prioritize yourself in the process. And then when it comes to the advice that I got, honestly, everybody's journey is different.
mm,
Everybody,
mm.
we're all different. So I wouldn't typically say that I got any kind of advice. In fact, the advice was don't leave work, because what are you gonna do? And for me, just left work anyway. So yeah, so eh, we're all different.
Yeah.
Let whatever it is that speaks to you, to your heart, guide you. And I think you're well on your way to succeed in any sphere and in any environment that you find yourself in, because you are at that place as nothing else but yourself. You are at that place um, as the authentic. Ayanda Masina, the authentic,
Mm,
nobody will. And if you search deep within yourself and arrive at any table as yourself, you'll
yeah.
succeed. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna close with asking you to maybe just share your way people can get a hold of you, you know, if they want to buy property or they want to, maybe Nami one day I want to get married. Let's not kick it out of the picture because it might happen. So maybe Nami one day I want to get married, and maybe the guy who's gonna marry me is sitting here in Mpume and is watching, you know. So where can he get a hold of you to ask you about international contracts, you know? So, or maybe he wants to buy a property before I become his wife, you know, so that he can, you know, he's preparing for this wonderful woman who's coming into his life. So
Amen.
I'm just yeah, please share where people can contact you whenever they need your advice. Yeah, and then from that, because I'm not going to speak after you've spoken, I really do appreciate you coming through, having this conversation with me, sharing with everybody on the platform, everybody watching, exactly what it is. I mean, honestly, I learned quite a lot as well. With the advice you gave about, like, honestly, as this international contract thing, I think marriage is coming into my life. But like, I learned quite a lot from what you said, and I know that a lot of people also appreciated it. I saw in the comments, and so I just want you to, I wish you all the best in everything that you're doing. I wish you a whole lot more of these platforms. And I would definitely want to have you back. I'm going to have you back, like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 years from now. Well, I won't be in the youth anymore. I won't be a young professional. Then I'll have you on the Mother Body platform. We are back for version like 2.0, you know, we're having this conversation again because now we have offices, you know, and Xulu is everywhere in South Africa. We have numerous offices, and now we're talking that, you know, that language.
Amen to that.
So I'm really grateful for your time and your energy and just sharing with people what you do, because you can tell when somebody loves what they do. Okay, they can never stop talking about it. Like, we could sit here for 3 hours and you'd still have something to say about what you do. So thank you so much, Mpumi. So I'll give you the platform just to give us your details, where to reach you. And then after that, my colleague Unati is going to just do the thank yous and close for us.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Ayanda. And you can reach us on our website, www.kuduattorneys.co.za. There's a comments and queries section there. So if anybody has any queries or comments, or they'd like us to assist them with the transfer of their property, anti-nuptial contracts, drop your details here on the queries and comments section. Alternatively, you can contact us. Our office number is 031-535-7092, and the cell number that we use for work purposes is 084-772-8804. So you can just drop us a WhatsApp on that number, or call, and we'll be able to reach you on that from that number. My personal email address is nombumelelo@kuduattorneys.co.za. And yeah, also available on most platforms. NSKulu Inc. We are on Instagram. NSKulu Inc. on LinkedIn. NSKulu Inc. on Facebook. I also, my personal accounts are on all those platforms as well. So yeah, please, if you need any assistance with conveyancing matters, or if there's anything that you want to ask or you're not clear about, please give us a shout and we'll definitely be able to assist you.
Thank you. Nati, over to you.
Good evening, guests. Sorry about that. My name is Unati Somagata. I am the deputy head for the gender desk on YP Santon Branch. Our event wouldn't be complete if we didn't have a vote of thanks. It's a very small part that I've been given, but very integral part. So I'm sure we will all agree that today's session has been very intuitive and has given us a great insight into the journey of purchasing a property, especially for first-time buyers. That whole process can be very nerve-wracking and fairly complex, but the information that's been shared here today will come in very handy for everyone. It's been very informative. The different types of marital contracts, the pros and cons of each, the fact that 50% of the assets in a community of property kind of arrangement also equal 50% of the liabilities. That for me hit home, especially for those who plan on getting married soon. So I would really try and get you guys to hear that 50% of the assets equal 50% of the liabilities. I think a lot of people tend to forget that when it comes to in community of property. So to our guest speaker, Ms. Nompumelelo Xulu, who is a visionary as well as a brave heart, having left corporate SA to literally creating her own table. And I'm sure you faced many challenges along the way, but still you managed to rise each and every morning and be an inspiration to other young professionals. I saw a few people in the chat asking, how did you do it? How did you move from corporate SA to starting your own thing? So you are an inspiration to a lot of young professionals. You are also a lecturer. You impart knowledge to others, as well as a community developer, making that soup. It's not child's play. You do a lot, really. You do a lot. And thank you very much to the Santon Mother Body for always supporting us. To Nhlanhla and his team for help organizing this event. Thank you so much as well. You always manage to assist so greatly and with an open heart. Thank you to the marketing team for putting our event out there. You guys are great. And then also, last but not least, to our audience, thank you for taking the time out to join us tonight and to hear what the Santon Gender Desk has to say. Yeah, thank you so much to everybody. Without further ado, let me not take more of your time. I'd like to just, even Nhlanhla, you can just flight the joining details for those members who'd like to be part of the BMF institution, and then we can close it off. Thank you so much. So thank you so much, Nhlanhla, for flighting the details of how to join the BMF. As you can see, our website, www.bmfonline, and our annual membership fee is $747.50. Yes, please do join us. And that's all, folks. Thank you so much once again for joining us tonight. And yeah, good night.